I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request. Graffiti-covered wall was a young man. Dirty clothes clung to his frail frame, eyes sharp but tired. The crowd moved quickly around him, some ignoring, others whispering. Elon's chest tightened. The man looked up at him. Samuel. His voice cracked as he said 4 words that hit Elon like a thunderclap. I am your son. The world seemed to freeze for a moment. Samuel! This stranger with a hardened gaze and wounds deeper than skin was the product of a long-buried, youthful romance Elon never spoke of. A secret hidden beneath years of fame and fortune. The weight of Samuel's life, a brutal saga of survival on the streets, cold nights, missed chances, floored Elon. His own world of sleek rockets and electric cars felt miles away, like a distant dream. Elon's mind raced. Guilt clawed at him like a living thing. How had he missed Samuel's cries hidden in silence? How did ambition and success pour into a life that left this boy in ruins? Yet Samuel's eyes weren't just pleading. They were burning with resentment and something else, a desperate hunger to be seen, to be known, not as a forgotten cast-off, but as a person worthy of love and respect. You don't know what I've been through, Samuel spat, voice shaking with years of pain. Nobody looked for me. Nobody. Elon's throat tightened. Las manos tremían. Los sitios murmuraban entremesentido. El pasado se arrancaba presente. Samuel reveló un secreto más oscuro que Elon, algo que llamaba las estrellas de su derrota. No era solo una mala suerte. Fue traición, manipulación y sombras llegando del hoy con el legado profesional. Un antiguo compañero, desesperado y gordo. Eguiré cuando si cables verdades. Se quedó de callar porque tenga la bélica imagen de Elon que está tanto construir. Wisperaciones liberales, que de hecho Elon era empleado al borde del encantador. Elon tenía un fuego caliente de la mirada de lo que quería decir. Esto era más de un escándalo. This was family, broken and bruised, yes, but still his flesh and blood. For a moment, a rare calm passed between them. Samuel looked away, swallowing back tears no one had ever seen. Elon stepped closer, feeling a strange mix of fear and hope. Could the chasm between their lives ever be bridged? Or would the ghosts of the past tear them apart forever? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Elon stood there, caught in the moment, heart pounding. Samuel's words hung heavy in the air, twisting like metal in a storm. The crowd around them buzzed with whispers, eyes darting between father and son. What do you mean? Elon finally managed to croak out, his voice barely a whisper. But before Samuel could respond, chaos erupted. A loud, screeching noise pierced the air. A shattering crash that sent people scattering in every direction. A dark van, out of control, barreled down the street. A blur of metal and desperation. Screams echoed. Elon instinctively grabbed Samuel, pulling him back against the wall just in time as the van slammed into a nearby stall, exploding into shards of wood and debris. Elon's heart reste, adrenalina puyendo pánico para lado. Miró a Samuel. He looked at Samuel with a wide crack de dolor en su expresión momentáneamente reemplazado por el instinto de sobrevivencia. Then, una figura se empujó por el caos. Una mujer ojea de aire y frántica. Se prostró hacia ellos, su voz berrante que privaba del panto. «Samuel, quítate de él». «Mamá». Samuel parte de la voz, sorpresa metida en confusión. Él incendió el suelo por debajo. ¿Quién era ella? Pánico gripó, como el cado trató de procesar la vista de esta mujer, which might look familiar, but never knew him. Una pena de fiel en reconocimiento. La mujer alcanzó a ellos. You need to listen. It's not safe. Not safe? Elon echoed, his chest tightening again. What do you mean? I can explain everything, but we need to get out of here, she insisted, glancing back at the oncoming crowd, eyes darting with urgency. Samuel, we need to go, she urged. Samuel shifted, torn between disbelief and loyalty, but the fire in his eyes still burned. Who are you? Elon pressed, every syllable heavy with dread. I'm your, she hesitated, caking a breath as the echoes of chaos continued to swirl around them. I'm your wife. We were never divorced. Elon felt like the ground opened up beneath him. The news hit like a physical blow, his head spinning. No, that can't be. I thought. Thought what? She challenged, stepping closer, eyes flashing. That you could just erase us? This isn't just about you anymore. It's about our son. Behind them, the crowd had grown thick. People gawking, phones out, recording. The whispers transformed into a frenzied buzz of speculation. Is that Elon Musk? But his son? Focused on the woman, Elon barely registered the onlookers. Shock twisted into confusion and disbelief. You're lying. I would have known. Would you? She shot back, fierce and determined. You were too busy building your empire to notice your own family was crumbling. Before he could respond, Samuel stepped forward, a wild mix of emotions playing across his face. Anger, hurt, betrayal. Why now? Why after all this? Because it's all connected, she shouted, slicing through the thick atmosphere. What happened to us? What happened to you? It's deeper and darker than any of us realized. Elon's mind raced. The revelation struck like lightning. Past mistakes echoed in his head like distant thunder. As he stood there, suspended between the wreckage of the moment and the weight of revelation. But just as Elon stepped closer, ready to bridge the gap, chaos erupted. A loud crash split the air, like thunder cracking the sky. Shattered glass rained down from the nearby building. People screamed, scattering in all directions. The moment shattered. Samuel jumped, eyes wide, instinct kicking in. Elon instinctively moved to shield him. But then he froze. In the chaos, from the darkness of an alley, a figure emerged. Tall, shrouded in a long coat, face hidden beneath a heavy hood. Without a word, he charged toward them, eyes wild with desperation. The crowd fell silent, all eyes drawn to this unexpected creature of fear. Elon! The figure shouted, voice deep and booming, cutting through the panic. You have to listen! It's all about to unravel! Electricity buzzed in the air, the type that set off alarms. Elon's heart raced. Who was this man? He felt his skin crawl, sensing a hidden truth lurking in those wild eyes. Samuel backed away, fear replacing his earlier anger. I don't know him, he yelled, panic spilling from his lips. But the stranger darted closer, voice urgent. No! You don't understand. Samuel is not who you think he is. He's tied to all of this. Your past. Your failures. Your biggest secret. The crowd, now still, hung on his words like string on a bow. Elon's breath hissed. What? What kind of madness was this? Your son is a part of something bigger. You need to see the truth. Those who think they control you won't let this go. And they will come for both of you. Samuel's face twisted with confusion, anger giving way to doubt. What are you talking about? He cried, lost in the swirl of the moment. Elon's body felt hot and cold all at once. A nagging worry crept in. A part of him wanted to shove the man away. Another part leaned in, hungry for clarity in chaos. What do you know about my business? Elon pressed. The show of authority felt weak in the face of this unexpected truth, this possible betrayal. The stranger took a step back, holding up his hands in a show of peace. This isn't just about business. It's about your life. Samuel has pieces of the puzzle you've overlooked. It connects to a deal that's haunting your past, and someone doesn't want it found. A low murmur welled up from the crowd. Whispers turned to glances of disbelief and judgment. He can't be serious? Or is that true? Then, Elon felt the walls around him close in. Who could he trust? The air thickened, tension electrifying every nerve. Samuel stared at Elon, looking for answers. The connection they'd just begun to explore hung in limbo, the warmth twisted and distorted by fear. Suddenly, another crash echoed through the streets. But this time, it came from a group rushing toward them. Men in dark suits, faces locked in grim determination. Panic rocked Elon to his core. Samuel, we need to leave. But as he turned, Samuel stood frozen, eyes still fixed on the stranger. Wait! Who are you? In that moment, everything changed. The past, the present, their fragile connection pulled into an unknown future. The shadows rolled closer, and the truth hung just out of reach, evading their grasp. Chaos loomed as uncertainty darkened the horizon. What awaited them on the other side? Elon felt the moment hang heavy between them. Samuel looked away, tears threatening. For a heartbeat, everything felt fragile, like glass on the verge of shattering. And then the chaos erupted again, a shrill shriek piercing through the already thick air as the group in dark suits pushed closer. Their eyes were hard, faces set like stone. Leave now! One of the suited men shouted, pointing sharply at Elon. We've got to move! But the stranger, this wild-eyed figure, stood his ground. No, it's too late. You'll never escape the truth. Samuel's confusion morphed into fear. What truth? He demanded. What do you mean? Who are you? The suited men surged forward. Elon stepped protectively in front of Samuel. "Stay back!" he roared. The crowd, that had been whispering and gawking, felt the tension and pulled back, collective breaths held in horror. "Samuel, we need to run," Elon urged, panic clawing at his chest. But as he turned to grab Samuel's arm, the ground shook beneath their feet, a low rumble that sent an uneasy thrill through the thrumming city. Cracks spidered across the pavement. The street was alive, a thrumming heartbeat vibrating through them. Then, from a block away, an explosion erupted. Fire shot into the sky. A swirling mass of orange and red, punctuations of debris raining down. The crowd screamed, scrambling, faces twisted in terror. Elon grabbed Samuel, holding him close. "Run!" The words barely left his lips before the figure lunged towards them. The man pointed toward the chaos. "This is just the beginning, Elon. They'll erase everything." Samuel blinked, caught between his father and the stranger. Confusion deepening. "What do you know about me? About him?" Elon felt his heart race. Who was this guy? "Why are you doing this?" he shouted, adrenaline pumping. But before the stranger could answer, another explosion rocked the ground. Glass shattered. Windows blew out in a violent spray. A wall of sound crashed over them. Samuel stumbled back, eyes wide, tears spilling over. "No!" Samuel cried out, but the stranger's voice cut through the panic. "They want to bury the truth of both of you. It's your legacy, your connection. It runs deeper than you think." Suddenly, a dark shadow loomed behind the stranger. A black SUV screeched to a halt. The side door swung open, and out stepped a woman with fierce eyes and an icy glare. Everything about her screamed power. "Get in now!" she shouted, voice steel. Samuel turned to Elon, uncertainty etched on his face. "Who is that?" Elon's mind raced. "I don't know," he barked. But the urgency of the moment left no space for thought. They needed to escape. They needed to understand. "Samuel, trust me," Elon urged, stepping towards the SUV. "We have to go." But then the stranger stepped backwards, shaking his head vehemently, eyes widening with terror. "No, this is all a trap. She's not who you think she is." Elon froze, heart hammering in his chest. "What do you mean? What do you know?" "Your whole life is built on lies," the stranger shouted, desperation raw in his voice. She's your mother." "I'm slowed." Elon's breath caught. A thick stone lodged in his throat. Samuel's face twisted in shock, limbs shaking. "What?" he gasped, eyes darting between them. "Betrayal runs deep, Elon. You have to face the truth before it consumes you." The air buzzed, charged with tension. The crowd watched, silent now, as everything spiraled out of control. The pop of gunfire cracked like thunder in the distance. "Get in!" the woman screamed again. And just like that, the decision hung in the air, heavy as a weight on their chests. What lay ahead? What awaited them? Elon and Samuel, standing at the precipice of a shocking revelation, faced a choice that would reshape their destinies forever. Would they leap into the unknown, or would they stand frozen in the chaos? Would the truth they were hunting lead to salvation or devastation? The answers danced just out of reach, a haunting melody demanding to be heard. Elon stood there, the air thick with unspoken words. Samuel shifted, eyes glistening with a mixture of anger and pain. The world around them buzzed with disbelief, but there was a strange silence hanging between father and son. A fragile moment when everything felt possible. Then the ground shook. A rumble echoed down the street, startling both men and the crowd around them. People began to scream and scatter, clutching their phones, shooting video as chaos erupted. A massive explosion shook the nearby building, smoke billowing like a dark storm cloud. Instinct kicked in, people ran, panic igniting fear in their eyes. But Elon didn't move. His gaze was locked on Samuel, who seemed frozen, caught between his past and the unfolding disaster. Then another shockwave hit. They both stumbled, the ground threatening to swallow them whole. The screams intensified, a cacophony of terror that cut through the air. "Samuel!" Elon shouted, but the sound of his own voice drowned beneath the chaos. The ground settled, but the damage was done. A window shattered nearby, showering the streets with glass. Suddenly, a wave of heat washed over them, the fire creeping closer. Samuel turned to him, panic igniting in his eyes. "This is your fault!" Samuel yelled, backing away. The anger, the hurt, it all came rushing out. "You think you can just waltz in after all this time and fix it? Look around you!" Elon's heart sank. He had never seen Samuel like this, so raw, so bursting with hurt. In that moment, he felt like a ghost, a faint echo in his own life. But then, the chaos faded for just a heartbeat, a brief crack of clarity amidst the flames. Samuel was right. He had ignored the signs of a life lost in shadows. "I'm sorry," Elon managed to croak, but the words felt hollow against the roar of destruction. A siren wailed in the distance, the emergency response racing into view. Samuel glanced back, uncertainty flashing in his eyes. Before Elon could reach out, Samuel took off into the throng of panicked people. "Wait!" Elon called, desperation rising as he tried to follow. But the crowd surged, people colliding, and confusion reigned. His breath quickened, lungs tight. He couldn't lose him. Not now. Just as he found a break in the crowd, he felt a hand gripping his arm, pulling him back. "You need to leave," a stranger shouted, eyes wide with fright. "Get to safety." But Elon's eyes darted, searching for Samuel, the desperate cry of a father calling out for his son drowned in chaos. And then he saw it, a flash of dark fabric disappearing around a corner, his heart racing. Samuel! In that heartbeat, a harsh truth emerged. A rumbling voice rose within him. He couldn't protect Samuel. The distance between them felt insurmountable. But then a voice, clear against the background pandemonium. "Elon?" It wasn't Samuel. The figure rushing toward him was familiar yet unexpected. Caroline, his first love, the woman who had walked away from everything to save him from himself. Years of happiness turned into years of silence. "Get back!" she screamed, urgency alight in her eyes. "You don't know the truth." Elon froze, confusion swirling. What truth? As the ground shook again underfoot, something shifted in the air. Past secrets tangled with present chaos, ready to explode. And just like that, the narrative spiraled, faces blending into an out-of-focus whirlwind. The chaos feeding off their confusion. Everything stood on the edge, dangling. Relationships, a flicker of movement caught Elon's eye. Something was happening down the street. Chaos unfolded. a figure stumbled into the crowd. An older man in tattered clothes, visibly distressed. "Help! Someone, help!" His eyes darted around, wild and frantic. An icy dread settled in Elon's stomach. He turned back to Samuel, who was wide-eyed, fear etching deeper lines on his young face. Suddenly, before anyone could comprehend the unfolding scene, the older man pointed wildly at Elon. You did this! You're the reason my boy is dead!" The air thickened with tension. Whispers turned to shouts. The crowd began to swell with curiosity and disgust. What does he mean? Who is he? Samuel took a step back, his expression shifting from confusion to disbelief. "What are you talking about?" he stammered. "Who's your boy?" The older man, straining with rage and grief, fought through the press of onlookers. His face red with anger, he shrieked, "My son was an engineer, just like you. He was working for you. And now he's gone because you destroyed everything." Elon's heart sank, dots connecting in a spiral of horror. The name of the man's son flashed through his mind, a name related to a past project, one that had failed catastrophically. Hushed conversations surrounded him like a swarm, each word striking like daggers. He should have known better. His arrogance cost lives. Look at that disgrace! Suddenly, the story didn't just belong to Elon and Samuel. It twisted into something much larger, much darker. This man's grief fueled anger toward Elon, but it was deeper, intertwined with corporate secrets, failures, and a legacy shrouded in scandal. It was a realm Elon thought he had left behind when he climbed the ladder of success. A flash ignited in Samuel's eyes, recognition blooming. You're blaming him?" Samuel's voice cracked, a mix of disbelief and anger. "You're trying to drag my father into this?" "Father?" The older man's voice turned venomous. "Do you think being a father means abandoning your child? Leaving him in the streets to rot?" Words hung in the freezing air, grasping at Elon. He felt suddenly exposed. The eyes of the city fell upon him, pulling him into their harsh judgment. Could the legacy he'd built truly hold the weight of so many lives lost, severed connections, and betrayal? Whoa! Then, a flash of light, a camera popped. Media had arrived. The scene exploded into a spectacle, capturing the dramatic encounter, twisting the narrative even further. People flashed phones, recording every moment, waiting for scandal to rip through the silence of the privileged billionaire, standing trapped in tangled family secrets and betrayal. A weight of uncertainty filled the air. Just as everything spiraled into chaos, Samuel turned to Elon with a stare that confused him. Anger mixed with something else, something softer. "We need to get out of here," he whispered, eyes darting toward the crowd closing in. A desperate look swept over Samuel's face. But with the truth of their ties revealed, could they really leave the past behind? Elon felt the tremor of the moment pulse through him, the crowd's volume rising. A storm of emotions, truths, and unthinkable revelations waiting to explode. Where would they find safety now? Their world was shadowed by an eruption of secrets, and Elon stepped forward, the air thick with tension. Samuel looked away, as if caught between anger and despair. All around them, people watched, mouths agape, cell phones now puestos para capturar este momento. Era surreal, como una escena de un film, donde los ricos y lo pobre colidió en una calle caudera. Pero antes que el silencio pudiese extenderse más, una figura ecotrifó, llorando, clavando papel con rayas y tablas. Era una mujer, wild-eyed, disheveled hair whipping around her face. She looked frantic, and everyone turned, curious and alarmed. "Elon," she screamed, "you have to listen. They're coming for you." Samuel's eyes flicked to her, then back to Elon, confusion mingling with pain. "Who's coming? What are you talking about?" Samuel's voice cracked, tinged with worry, but Elon was frozen. A wave of dread washed over him. The woman stumbled closer, breathless. "You don't know! The board! They're planning to leak everything! Your secrets, the lies, everything!" She thrust the paper toward Elon, but he stepped back, the world tilting on its axis. "Wait! What?" His mind raced as the reality of her words sank in. What secret? He had spent decades building a fortress of reputation, a brand admired globally. What could possibly threaten it? "They're going to expose Samuel too." The words hung heavy in the air, a lightning bolt splitting the moment. His heart raced. Samuel's past, lives intertwined with his own. Darkened corners he hoped were hidden. Vehicle noises faded. People turned into static figures. Whispers mingled around him. "Did you hear that?" "No way." The murmur grew. A tidal wave of judgment and excitement. Elon reached out, feeling a tremor in his hands. Samuel stood, grounded but shaken. "Expose what? What's my past?" His voice was raw, desperate for truth, for clarity. The woman pressed closer, eyes wide with urgency. "Your father, he knew! Your mother, the parties, the betrayal." Each word cut through Elon's fog, revealing shadows from corners he thought long hidden. "What do you mean?" Elon shouted, panic rising as Samuel cried out. "Tell us!" The woman swallowed hard, her tremor visible. "They tied you to someone powerful and untouchable by the law." She paused, breath hitching in her throat. "And Samuel isn't just a forgotten son. He's key to it all. The child of a conspiracy that could bring down everything." Shockwaves rippled through Elon's body. He felt sick, the colors around him swirling. This wasn't just a family secret. It was a wrecking ball hanging over their heads. Samuel's life mattered in ways Elon never understood. Fear gripped him as realization dawned. The weight of Samuel's suffering tied directly to his own past mistakes. A sudden shout pierced the gathering storm of emotions. "Get away from him, you freak!" A man lunged forward, pushing the woman aside. The crowd gasped, the tension snapping like a taut wire. "Back off!" Elon shouted, thrusting a hand out in a protective gesture. Samuel's eyes darted, widening at the raw chaos erupting around them. In that moment, amid the fear and confusion, something shifted between Elon and Samuel. It was as if the world was crashing down around them, pushing them closer together. The distance, once defined by shame and abandonment, now filled with the bitter taste of shared danger, and then The first blow struck out of nowhere. A fist collided with Samuel's jaw, sending him sprawling against the alley wall. Elon felt time freeze as rage ignited within him. No! He lunged forward, shouting out his son's name, everything inside him shifting like tectonic plates. Would he lose him again? Would history repeat itself in the worst way possible? Around them, chaos swirled. Truths, lies, family ties, and dark secrets threatened to explode into the open. All the while, a chilling twist loomed close. Just who had been waiting in the shadows? And how far would they go to protect a truth so devastating it could destroy them? Just as Elon lunged toward Samuel, ready to shield him from the chaos erupting around them, the sound of a gunshot rang out, sharp and deafening, against the backdrop of screams. Time collapsed in on itself. Samuel's head snapped toward the noise, eyes wide with terror. "No!" Elon shouted as he felt a surge of panic. The crowd gasped collectively, instincts tearing them in different directions. Gunfire interrupted their reality, their moment. The older man, who had hurled accusations, staggered backward, clutching his arm. A dark, crimson stain blossomed, spreading through the fabric of his shirt. "No! Help me!" he cried, collapsing to the ground. Gasps turned into chaos as people scrambled away, forcing Elon and Samuel to the edges of the scene. The woman who had warned them suddenly vanished into the throng, her words dissolving into the fevered murmur. The crowds turned chaotic, eyes darting and minds racing, in a city that was all too familiar with violence, but had never felt so personal. "What just happened?" Samuel cried, his voice trembling, caught in shock and fear. He turned to Elon, wide-eyed, searching for answers. Elon felt his heart race. "I don't know, but we need to get out of here." His voice barely broke through the ringing in his ears. He reached for Samuel, but the young man hesitated, still gazing at the confusion with growing dread. Then came another shout, louder this time, a commanding voice cutting through the madness. "Get down!" A man in a suit charged toward them, urgency written all over his face. "You can't be here! We have to move!" He grabbed Samuel by the arm, pulling him away from the growing chaos. Samuel jerked away. "Wait! What's going on?" Elon was gripped with fear. There was no way this was just a random incident. Everything felt orchestrated, like someone was pulling the strings, cloaked in the shadows. "Samuel, trust me," he pleaded, reaching out again. "You don't understand," Samuel shouted back. Frustration mingled with confusion. "This is my life, and you just waltzed back in like nothing matters." But before Elon could respond, the suited man leaned closer, lowering his voice. "We don't have time. Listen, there's more you need to know." A sudden explosion from nearby sent tremors through the ground. People shrieked and screamed, the panic amplified tenfold. Before they could react, an unmarked van skidded to a halt just feet away, doors flying open. The scene felt like a twisted movie, hard and gritty, full of desperation. Elon's confusion morphed into something darker as two figures jumped out. One was the woman from earlier, eyes wild and frantic. The other, a man who looked disturbingly similar to Elon. "Get them!" he shouted, pointing straight at Elon and Samuel. "Who the hell is that?" Samuel cried, eyes betraying disbelief as he stared at the man who mirrored Elon's features. "He's your brother," the suited man whispered hurriedly, urgency pushing his words. "And they're after you both." All the noise fell away in that moment. Elon felt a crack in his perception of reality. Everything he thought he understood suddenly twisted. "What?" he forced out. Before he could process it, the man, the brother, leaped forward, looking wild-eyed and desperate. "You don't know the truth. None of us do. We have to go now, or you'll regret it." Questions swirled like a tempest in Elon's mind. The city blurred around them, a dangerous maze of confusion. This was bigger than anything he'd imagined. His brother? What brother? The chaos surged on. People shouted, panic bloomed, and secrets lingered just below the surface, waiting to explode. "Samuel!" Elon reached for his son again, their eyes locking in a moment of shared fear. And then, just as Samuel opened his mouth to speak, a blast of light erupted near the van. The unmistakable sound of an explosion, a shattering wave that sent them stumbling back, reflexively shielding their eyes. Smoke roiled into the air, shrouding everything in an eerie gray. In that blinding second, clarity emerged. What was happening was not just a consequence of past mistakes, but a deliberate act. ... Someone orchestrated it all. As darkness swallowed the light, the only question left was this: would they survive to uncover the shattered truths that tied them together? The explosion sent a shockwave through the crowd, the air filled with smoke and debris. Time distorted as Elon blinked through the haze, desperately searching for Samuel. Panic clawed at his chest, choking him. "Samuel!" he shouted again, voice nearly swallowed by the chaos. The ground quaked beneath them, the adrenaline-fueled pulse of urgency urging him to move. But Samuel wasn't where he had been. Elon felt a pit open in his stomach, a fear he had never known. "Where are you?" he screamed, voice raw. Amidst the smoke and confusion, he saw a shadow dart away, and his heart raced. "Samuel!" he cried. But the crowd surged like a tidal wave, a mix of chaos and fear, blotting out everything familiar. He couldn't let the darkness swallow his son. Not now! And then he froze. From the thickening fog, a figure emerged. It was his brother, the one he never knew he had, the one everyone had spoken about but left unmentioned. "Get back!" he shouted, desperation filling his voice. "You don't understand! You're in danger!" What? Danger? Samuel needed him. They needed to regroup, escape. The words hung heavy, but confusion swirled within him, a storm of emotions threatening to spill over. Was this really happening? A cry rippled through the crowd. "Look out!" Hands instinctively shielded faces as another explosion ripped through the air, sending shards of glass and splintered wood flying. Elon shielded his brother, the instinct to protect surging through him. "Why are they after us?" the brother shouted, panic lacing his voice. "I don't know," Elon grunted, the heat of flames licking dangerously close. "But we have to move." At that moment, Samuel reappeared from the chaos, eyes wide with fear, hurt, and something else, a haunting recognition. "What's happening, Elon?" he breathed, blood trickling from a scrape on his cheek. But just then, Sarah, the woman from before, reemerged from the smoke, dragging someone along with her. "This is her!" she shouted, revealing a woman with familiar eyes, deep and stormy like the ocean. Someone Elon recognized. Your mother! Time stopped. Everything fell away. No, it can't be, Elon said, voice trembling. The woman he once loved, the one he thought he'd lost, standing there alive, messy and heart-wrenching. Get away from her, his brother shouted, glaring at their mother as though she were a ghost. What do you mean? Why now? Elon felt betrayal sink deep. You've been here the whole time? The woman shook her head, confusion merging with sorrow. Elon, But before she could say another word, another explosion rocked the street. The world tilted, throwing them onto the unforgiving pavement. Smoke spiraled around them, thickening the air, choking away reality. A piercing scream shattered the chaos. Someone hurt. A body lay nearby, motionless, blood pooling beneath. Elon's heart dropped as he rushed to the figure crumpled on the ground. It was one of the suited men, his face pale and twisted in pain. "Help me," he gasped. Caught in the web of shifting loyalties, everything spun. No one was safe. The truth unraveled like a thread, revealing painful connections and betrayals. Elon stepped back, breathless, the pieces falling into place. Ha 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 ha! Crashing like glass shattering from a great height. "Samuel," he said, voice trembling. "What if everything we've been told is a lie?" And as Samuel and the woman exchanged glances, the world seemed to collapse around them, leaving only questions hanging in the smoke. Each heartbeat felt like a warning, and just as they turned toward the shadows, something or someone emerged from the fog, looming dangerously over them. "Now it's time for you to learn the truth," the new figure intoned, shattering the air with the weight of revelation. Elon felt frozen, a chill coursing through him as the revelation hung like a specter over them. What would it mean for their fragile family bound by secrets? The answers loomed, edging closer, with every moment drawing them deeper into a perilous unknown. Elon stared in disbelief as the figure stepped closer, revealing a face filled with both urgency and pain. But before they could process what was happening, another explosion ripped through the air, closer this time. Shouted the suited man, grabbing Samuel and pulling him protectively behind himself. The tension was suffocating, the reality too stark to bear. Chaos reigned, but from that chaos rose something deeper. Truths floating to the surface like debris in a storm. "Elon!" His brother's voice sliced through the noise. "We have to get out now!" There was an edge of desperation, fear simmering just beneath the surface. "If we don't move, we're finished!" Before they could respond, a wall of police surged into view, sirens blaring, lights flashing. Someone shouted for calm, but calm was a distant memory. People were pushed aside, and fists were raised, anger boiling over in the confusion. "Samuel!" Elon called again. But the noise swallowed his words. They were separated by a wall of chaos, and he felt despair claw at his heart. He was nothing without his son. Then, in a flash, he locked eyes with Samuel. The look between them spoke volumes. A shared history, a painful present. It was enough to ignite hope in the midst of despair. "We need to stick together!" Elon shouted over the chaos, determination ringing clear. Suddenly the woman, their mother, was there, tears streaking down her face. "I never meant for this to happen," she sobbed, voice trembling. "But we must face the truth together." Elon stared, emotions crashing over him like waves. It was absurd, chaotic, but she was right. They had to confront the tangled mess of their lives. The betrayals, the secrets, all the lies. "Samuel, come on!" Elon urged, reaching out toward him. "Let's get out of here!" With fear and a flicker of resolve in his eyes, Samuel broke free from the chaos and sprinted to his father, collapsing into his broad arms. "What now?" he asked, eyes darting around. They were safe for now, but the fight was far from over. "I know the truth about everything," his brother said, voice fierce. "I was trying to protect you both, but the time for hiding is over. We can't let them control our lives anymore." The weight of those words hung heavy. It was a call to action, a challenge they could no longer ignore. Together, they would face the storm, face whatever shadows had lurked in their pasts. As they caught their breath, a light flickered in the distance, shining through the smoke. It was hope, a sign that maybe, just maybe, they could navigate the darkness ahead. Elon looked at Samuel, then at his brother, and finally at their madre. "No more secrets," he said, a new-found determination igniting in his chest. "We face this together." And just like that, they stepped back into the light, ready to confront whatever awaited them. The past had led them to this moment, but their future, it was unwritten, just waiting for them to seize it. Now, this is your moment to act. You have to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this intense ending. And don't wait even a second longer to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. It's time to support the channel and be part of this community.